At my grandson's wedding, my daughter stopped me at the entrance and said, "You are not on the list." Mom, many guests glanced my way, puzzled, as if I weren't expected. That moment would come later, but the ache of it began long before anyone held a clipboard. The story you are about to hear is a work of fiction created by the Her Chains channel team, based on real-life situations to convey lessons about family, emotions, and human values. All characters and events are illustrative. My name is Marjorie Keene. I raised my grandson Evan from the time he was barely walking. My daughter, Lydia, was already climbing her way through corporate ladders in downtown Portland, leaving early and coming home late, always polished, always rushing. I never judged her for it. Someone had to keep the lights on, she used to say. And I believed her, so I packed lunches, wiped scraped knees, attended every school play, and sat through every parent-teacher conference while she hustled through her career. We all carved out the roles we thought made us a family. In my quiet house near Laurelhurst Park, preparing for Evan's wedding felt like preparing for a milestone that belonged to me, too. I steamed my soft lavender dress the night before, smoothing the neckline the way Evan used to smooth his cowlick when he was nervous. I laid out the pearl earrings that belonged to my late husband. I wanted Evan to look out into the crowd and see me steady, proud, exactly where a grandmother should be. In those weeks leading up to the ceremony, I noticed small things I brushed aside. A few details slipped past me: rehearsal schedules, group photos, things Lydia didn't mention until later. None of it felt intentional. Families trip over each other during wedding season. I was sure of it. The morning of the wedding, I believed I had a place waiting for me, one I had earned through years of devotion and quiet sacrifice. I did not know the seat I expected had already been quietly taken away. And before I understood how or why, my part in Evan's perfect day was already disappearing, one unnoticed detail at a time, leading me straight into what came next in the planning of the wedding they wanted me to fund. Lydia came over one evening with the kind of smile she used when she wanted something. She sat at my kitchen table, tapping her manicured nails against her coffee cup. "Mom, Portland weddings are impossible right now," she began. "Evan and Claire have their hearts set on the Abernethy Center, and the dates are filling fast." I nodded, waiting for what came next. Lydia never danced around a point for long. "They need help," she said quietly, as if the softness made it kinder. "Just to get things moving, deposits, paperwork, the usual mess." I remembered every year Evan spent in my house, every late-night talk we had about his dreams, every moment he looked to me when Lydia was too busy. Of course I wanted his wedding to be beautiful. "What do you need from me?" I asked. Relief washed over her face far too quickly. "Well, it would help if everything went under your name at first." "Flexibility," she added, waving her hand. "Vendors respond better to one point of contact." She slid a folder across the table, catering estimates, venue contracts, early invoices. I skimmed the numbers. They were steep, but not impossible. "I can cover the deposits," I said, "but I want to make sure Evan isn't overwhelmed. Let him enjoy this." "Exactly," Lydia said, smiling wide. "You're doing this for him. Over the next week, transfers left my account in tidy lines, payments to the Abernethy Center, deposits for photography, a retainer for the planner. Each time I clicked confirm, I felt a small glow. I was giving Evan something he'd remember for life. Lydia texted short updates: handled, done, all set. She never mentioned lists, seating charts, or rehearsal details. I assumed I'd hear those later. I assumed a lot. It started with a text from Lydia Mom. "Can you handle the budget sheet? We just need someone organized." Organized. I'd spent 30 years as a hospital bookkeeper. Organization wasn't a compliment. It was a convenient way to push me into the corner. Still, I answered, "Sure, just tell me what you need." She sent over numbers, invoices, payment reminders. Nothing about the parts families usually fuss over together. No colors, no music, no seating decisions, only logistics, only money. A few days later, I found out there was a group chat for the bridal party. Evan mentioned it casually. "Mom hasn't joined yet, but she keeps sending suggestions," he said, laughing. I blinked. "What chat?" He looked confused. "Didn't she add you?" "It's the only one anyone uses." I waited for Lydia to fix it. She didn't. A rehearsal dinner list appeared in my email, forwarded from the planner. I scrolled through the names: Claire's family, Evan's friends, Lydia's co-workers. My name wasn't there. I called Lydia. "I think the planner missed me on the rehearsal list." She let out a sigh, the kind she used when I asked questions she didn't want to answer. "Mom, it's a small dinner. Just immediate people needed for speeches. You'll join us after. Don't overthink it." She hung up quickly, as if the explanation was more than enough. More little things followed. The photographer sent over sample shot lists, and I noticed grandmother photos missing. When I brought it up, Lydia said, "We'll adjust later. It's too early to worry." Everywhere I looked, my place seemed smaller, thinner, fading around the edges. But I kept telling myself it was wedding stress. Families get tangled. Nerves get sharp, and things fall through cracks. At least, that's what I wanted to believe. The morning of the wedding felt softer than it should have. I woke before my alarm, my chest full of the quiet excitement I used to feel on Evan's first days of school. I laid my soft lavender dress across the bed and unboxed the pearl earrings Jonathan gave me on our 20th anniversary. For a moment, I let myself believe the day would be simple, joyful, exactly what a grandmother hopes for. When I finished getting ready, I checked my reflection. The dress fit just the way it used to when I bought it for a gala I never ended up attending. The pearls rested against my skin like a memory I could still touch. My phone buzzed. The Uber had arrived. The driver, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, gave a little whistle when I opened the door. "Well now," he said, "you look like the mother of the bride." I laughed, adjusting the skirt as I sat. "Grandmother," I said, "but thank you. Big day. Bigger than most." I answered, and it was true. Evan wasn't just my grandson. He was the child I'd raised, the boy who brought me dandelions from the yard, the teenager who asked me for advice before anyone else. I pictured him standing at the altar, straightening his tie the way he always did when he was nervous. I imagined his face lighting up when he saw me in the crowd. That thought alone carried me. During the ride, Lydia texted once, "Be on time. The planner is strict. No greeting, no warmth." Still, I told myself not to let it get to me. Today wasn't about Lydia. It was about Evan and the years of love stitched into his life. When we pulled into the venue drive, the driver smiled. "Go make some memories." "I plan to," I said, and in that moment, stepping out of the car, I truly believed the day would hold a place for me before everything began to slip. The entrance to the Abernethy Center was buzzing when I arrived. Guests lined the walkway, straightening ties, smoothing dresses, laughing in little bursts of excitement. I spotted Lydia near the check-in table, standing beside a young planner who held a clipboard like it was an extension of his arm. I lifted my hand to wave. "Lydia." She stiffened instead of smiling. The planner leaned toward her and whispered something. Lydia's eyes flicked to me, then to the line of guests behind me. Something in her face tightened. I stepped forward anyway. "I'm here, sweetheart. You look beautiful." She didn't return the greeting. Instead, she reached for the clipboard and ran her finger down the list with exaggerated slowness. "Mom," she said, voice clipped. "What are you doing here?" The words stunned me. What am I doing here, Lydia? It's Evan's wedding. I came to celebrate. The planner cleared his throat. Ma'am, I'm not seeing your name. Maybe you're on another. Lydia cut him off. Her voice rose just enough for the 200 people in line to hear. You're not on the list. Mom. A hush rolled through the guests. Someone behind me murmured, oh no. Another whispered, maybe she mixed up the dates. Heat climbed up my neck. There must be a mistake, I said quietly. Check again. Lydia didn't budge. She shifted her body slightly, blocking me from stepping closer. The seating chart is final. You're not assigned anywhere. I told you this already. She hadn't. Not once. The planner looked apologetic. I don't see your name here. Let me check with the bride. Over Lydia's shoulder. Across the courtyard. I saw Evan. He looked my way. Brows pulling together in confusion, as if trying to understand why I was standing at the entrance instead of inside. He took one step toward us before someone tugged him back. Lydia folded her arms. Mom, please don't make a scene. I swallowed hard. Everything inside me trembled. But my voice stayed steady. I understand. I turned before anyone saw my mouth shake. I walked back through the rows of staring guests, each step heavier than the last, each whisper slicing deeper. I kept my head high, even as my heart splintered. When I reached the road, the only sound left was my own breath, thin, quick, desperate for solid ground. When I stepped back into my house, the silence hit harder than the humiliation. I closed the door gently, afraid that anything louder would finally break me. I slipped off my lavender dress and laid it across the arm of the sofa. The pearls came next. They felt heavier than they should have. I sat there for a long time, hands folded, breaths shallow, trying to understand how my daughter's voice. You're not on the list. Mom could still echo like it was happening in real time. Eventually, something in me shifted, a small, steady voice under the ache. Go look. I walked to my old desk in the corner of the dining room. The bottom drawer stuck a little always had, but I pulled until it gave. Inside was the folder I'd built over months without thinking contracts, invoices, payment confirmations, my handwriting on sticky notes, vendor emails printed because I liked to keep things organized. Every document had my name on it. Abernethy Center Rental, Marjorie Keene, catering deposits. Marjorie Keene, photography retainer, Marjorie Keene, tens of thousands of dollars, all tied back to me. I flipped through the pages faster. My pulse, picking up as a different truth, formed one colder, clearer, sharper than the humiliation itself. They didn't forget me. They excluded me on purpose. My hand tightened around the folder. The despair I'd walked home with thinned, replaced by something steadier, something I hadn't felt in years resolve. I picked up my phone and dialed the number I knew by heart. Daniel Reeves answered on the second ring. Marjorie, everything all right? No, I said. My voice didn't shake this time. I need you to come by tomorrow. There are things we need to go over, of course, he said. I'll clear my morning. I set the phone down. The folder open in front of me. For the first time all day, I didn't feel erased. Daniel arrived right at 9 the next morning, the same way he had for the past 20 years whenever I needed help navigating something difficult. He stepped into the dining room, glanced at the open folder on the table, and let out a low whistle. All right, he said, pulling out a chair. Show me everything. I handed him the stack of contracts and receipts. He moved through them quickly, his expression tightening with each page. All of this, he said, tapping the papers, is under your name, venue, catering, photography, floral arrangements. Every vendor recognizes you as the client. I folded my hands in my lap. Lydia insisted it was for convenience. Daniel gave me a look that said he didn't buy a word of it. Convenience for whom? He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a tablet. I checked something last night after your call. Lydia refinanced her house in Selwood 2 years ago. The lender approved it because your credit co-signed a small portion of it. Not large, but enough to matter. My stomach tightened. She never told me that. That car she drives. Daniel continued. The silver one's still registered under your name. Insurance, too. If anything happens, the liability is on you. I leaned back, the truth sinking deeper with each revelation, and the monthly transfers. He added gently, those little deposits you send her, those are what keep her from defaulting on her mortgage. The air went still. He set the last paper down. Marjorie, your daughter's entire lifestyle depends on you. Not just emotionally, legally, financially. I stared at the folder. All this time I thought I'd been helping. Instead, I'd been holding everything up while she kicked the ground out from under me. Daniel cleared his throat. You have leverage, thus, more than you realize. The question is what you want to do with it. The answer came without hesitation. I'm done funding a life where I don't exist. He nodded once, firm and approving. Then we start today. I closed the folder, feeling something inside me settle, not anger, not spite, but a decision I should have made long ago. The courier showed up earlier than expected. I heard the knock at exactly 9:12 in the morning and opened the door to a young man holding a thick, sealed envelope. Delivery for Marjorie Keene, he said. I signed, closed the door, and carried the envelope to the dining table. Daniel had prepared letters formally ending the monthly support transfers and other financial obligations. On top of the documents, I placed a small handwritten note on cream stationery, respect is not optional. I sealed the envelope, addressed it to Lydia, and called the courier company back with instructions. By 9:30, the package was already on its way to her office. At 10:15, my phone started ringing. Lydia. I let it vibrate on the table. At 10:17, she called again. Then 10:19, 10:23. Her persistence had a rhythm, each call sharper than the last. I set the phone face down. By 10:30, the calls stopped. 2 minutes later, a text arrived short, clipped, panicked. Mom, what is this? Another call came. I ignored it. Then my phone buzzed with a different tone. Evan, Grandma, what's going on? Mom is losing it. She's saying you're trying to ruin her life. I stared at the message. For a moment, guilt tugged at me, soft but familiar. Then I remembered the entrance to the wedding. Lydia's voice echoing through 200 guests. The planner blocking me like a stranger. I typed back slowly. Evan, I'm taking care of some overdue matters. I'll explain soon, he replied. I just want to understand. I put the phone down gently. Understanding would come later, right now. The first ripple had just reached them, and more were on the way. The rain had been steady all afternoon, tapping against the windows like it was gathering its courage. Around 4, fists slammed against my front door hard, frantic, familiar. I opened it just enough to see Lydia on the porch, soaked through, hair plastered to her cheeks, eyes wild. What did you send me? She demanded, shoving the envelope upward. Are you out of your mind? I didn't step aside. You read it. You know what it is. You canceled everything. Her voice cracked. The mortgage support, the transfers. Mom, are you trying to destroy me? I'm ending what should have ended years ago. She let out a sharp, broken laugh. You can't do this. You don't understand what you're doing. I understand perfectly. Her expression snapped from fear to fury. Fine, then I'll take legal action. I'll declare you incompetent. I'll make sure a judge I cut her off. You won't. You think I won't? She hissed. I stepped back, retrieved a folder from the entry table, and handed her a single document. That's a psychological evaluation from last week, conducted by Dr. Celeste Harmon. 8 pages confirming I'm fully competent. I requested it because I knew you'd try this. Lydia's mouth dropped open. You planned this, no? I said calmly. But I prepared. Behind her, footsteps splashed up the walkway. Evan stopped under the awning, breathless, face pale. Grandma, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she, Evan. Lydia snapped. Stay out of this. He flinched at her tone. Mom! She's right. You went too far. Lydia rounded on him. Don't you dare take her side. I touched the door lightly. I won't do this in the rain. Mom, Lydia reached for me. I stepped back. Go home, Lydia. I closed the door between us. Not in anger, in finality. On the other side, the storm kept falling. A week after the confrontation, my days finally felt like my own again. I signed up for a senior art group at the community center and spent mornings with women who laughed loudly and painted without apologizing. On Saturdays, I volunteered in the neighborhood garden, pulling weeds alongside retirees who talked about tomato plants like they were grandchildren. One afternoon, as I rinsed the soil from my hands, I heard a soft knock at my door. When I opened it, Evan stood there alone, shifting nervously. Grandma, can I come in? I stepped aside. Of course. He sat at the kitchen table, the same place where he used to build Lego castles. I don't know how things got this bad, he said, but I want to fix what I can. With you, I nodded. I know you didn't make the choices your mother made. He swallowed hard. I should have checked on you that night. I saw you at the entrance. I thought something was wrong, but it's all right, I murmured. You see things clearly now. That's enough. His eyes softened. Can we start over? Yes, I said. But this time, I won't disappear to make others comfortable. After he left, I folded the lavender dress carefully and set it aside. Some memories need distance to heal. In the quiet that followed, I realized something simple and true. I spent years fighting for a seat in their lives. Now I build my own. Choosing yourself doesn't mean shutting love out. It means opening the door only to those who knock with respect. Peace grows in the spaces where you stop begging to be seen. If this story touched you, like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that honor women who reclaim their worth.